Hello and welcome to our first episode of Political Myths Debunked. My name is Chase England. Today we're going to talk about the progressive tax versus the flat tax, and whether we should favor the progressive tax and give all of our income to Big Brother, or favor the flat tax and evil capitalists will rule us all. The fundamental principle at the heart of this issue is whether or not the government should take a redistributive role in society or not. Progressives, those who favor the progressive tax, argue that the government should redistribute income to make a more equitable society. Those who favor the flat tax argue that this is not the role of government and that taxes should only be to provide income for the government to operate on. Here to argue for the progressive side is our colleague Neil Singal. Here to argue for the flat tax side is our colleague Morgan Freeland. All right, Neil, we'll start with you.
Thank you, Chase. So one of the big principles that we like to argue about is big government versus small government. We can see throughout history that when society develops huge inequities in wealth, it creates a negative impact in society as well as economics. The free market itself does not protect against inequality, so this, unfortunately, falls to the government. A progressive tax achieves this role by taxing the rich more and the poor less. In this system, people that are earning under the cost of living will not be burdened with taxation. The basis and principle of today's economics in America today are based on a strong middle class. And the way that we create that is through equal chance and opportunity. There's no way that without a redistribution of wealth would it be possible for people of a lower income bracket to raise to a higher bracket, or vice versa.
Those were some interesting remarks. What can you say to that?
Well, I think that it's fair to say that most conservatives believe that the purpose of taxation is to gain basic revenue to support the function of government. One purpose that liberals believe of taxation is to redistribute the wealth. On the other hand, conservatives believe that the free market can accomplish this alone. I think that one of the biggest problems with a progressive taxation system is that they're fundamentally arbitrary. Who's to say who makes too much and who makes too little? It's hard to really make a distinct cutoff, and who's the one that's going to determine something like that? It's kind of a messy situation. Another big point about that is that while drawing these boundaries, it comes another issue that high taxes cause a disincentive to work, because if you're right on the borderline of a bracket, you might try to earn less, just a little less, so that you could fall below the bracket and end up making a little bit more because you're being taxed less. So that's definitely a major issue.
All right, so Neil, under this tax system, wouldn't there be a disincentive created? In other words, somebody making $99,000 wouldn't want to go to $100,000 because they would jump to a higher tax bracket?
No, actually the way how our graduated tax system works is that the extra $1,000 over the $100,000 bracket would only be taxed the higher amount.
Okay.
Another point to make about the flat tax side is that the free market system itself provides large incentives to work hard, gain new skills, and gain upward mobility without government interference. One of these better methods would be a subsidized income. That means that rather than taxing people more, the government would provide, for instance, an extra $1 per hour to somebody who really needs it.
Well, thank you both for your comments. It looks like the heart of this issue is really a distinction between whether you believe in redistribution or not. From the progressive side, we heard that the free market doesn't really provide equity in a meaningful way, so the role to do this falls on the government. People making less than the cost of living should not suffer under the burden of taxation. And finally, a graduated tax system such as the one we have in the U.S. does not really disincentivize earning more, since you're only being taxed on your further gains. On the conservative side, we heard that it is really not a purpose of government to redistribute wealth. The free market provides enough opportunity for those making under the cost of living to climb the ladder of success. A progressive tax system is fundamentally arbitrary and potentially unfair to certain people who make certain amounts of income. And finally, if you do believe in redistribution, better methods of bringing it about exist, such as subsidized income programs run by the government. So thank you both for your comments. Please, if you have any comments, feel free to comment below. And we'll see you next week on Political Myths Debunked.